What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Trey, and as usual, hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. Now, today we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs and the expectations we should have for each team, as well as in general. What do playoffs really bring, right? But before we start that conversation, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Comment, tell anyone about the show. I'm trying to get the ratings up a little bit, just a little bit. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about NBA playoffs and the expectations. Again, 2025. So why are playoffs important? Well, the reasoning why is this. It's the most exciting time in the season, long story short. Everybody's playing for a championship. This is that time where everyone starts playing for a championship. You get the most effort out of players, theoretically, in the playoffs. Fans pay attention the most to the NBA for the playoffs. Most teams make most of their money in the playoffs. So again, most exciting time, right? You also get to figure out who's the best team for that particular season. You also get to recognize some disappointing teams too. And players as well. Also, the storylines for the offseason are starting to form up during the playoffs, right? As teams and players exit and advance. You get potential rivalries that form up because certain teams lose. It might be a repetitive thing, or maybe they flip-flop back and forth between winning and losing, right? Between one team and another. So again, you get rivalries that form up. You get to reshape and redefine legacies. Playoffs, a wonderful time. Because keep in mind, during the regular season, folks are dragging people. So again, you get to reshape your legacy. It's a bunch of things over there in the playoffs that you got to look forward to seeing. But, ladies and gentlemen, with that definition, let's go ahead and talk about the playoff brackets. Because as you guys see on the screen, and we'll start off with the Western Conference, right? We have here the Thunder versus the Grizzlies. Then we have the Nuggets versus the Clippers. Next, we have my Lakers versus the Wolves, and the Rockets versus the Warriors. And then here on this Eastern Conference side, we have the Cavs versus the Heat. Then we have the Pacers versus the Bucks, the Knicks versus the Pistons, and finally, the Celtics versus the Mavericks. Now, ladies and gentlemen, these matchups are good ones. I'm not going to lie to you all. So let's start off with the East. So we got to talk about here the Cavs versus the Heat. Now, for this one, right, and I'm going to tell you guys my expectations real quick, kind of high levelish for each team. The Cavs. You have pressure versus a potential second round team. When we look at the Heat, the culture, the coaching, the players, people think this Heat team could actually go to the second round. And they just underperformed during the regular season. And I have my gripes about them, but you have pressure now beating a second round team. So will the Cavs do that? Let's find out. Then the Heat. Are y'all the new We Believe Warriors? Because the Warriors beat Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavs a couple decades ago. And they kind of stunned the world, right? I don't know if this would be stunning, but at the same time, can y'all actually do it? Because again, that Jimmy Butler trade did raise some question marks now for the Heat for the future. So that's what we're looking for with the Heat. And again, expectations, I expect the Cavs to win. But these are the things that I'm paying attention to for the Cavs and for the Heat. Now, the next teams, Celtics versus Magic, I'm sorry. Oh, my gosh. The Celtics, long story short, ladies and gentlemen, are they not going to play with their food? Because keep in mind, playoffs versus regular season is a little bit different, right? And with the Magic actually have played well versus the Celtics in the regular season. So we got to remember that. So keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, are the Celtics going to play with their food? Because every time I talk to people, people think, hey, they're just going to take it a little light and then rely on talent. Change that narrative now. And for the Magic, well, my expectations are this. Make the series competitive and show that you belong. Because keep in mind, we understand that Jalen Suggs is out, right? That's part of your big three. So the Magic are a little hampered, and they're young, too. And I got to note that. Make it competitive, because I've been trying to say that the Magic and Celtics can be a rivalry like the Spurs and Thunder used to be when KD and Russ and Harden were young and Timmy was on the Spurs. Remember them days? I think that's what we can get with the Magic and Celtics. But these are my expectations for those two. Let's go ahead and move on, shall we? So we got to talk about here the Knicks versus the Pistons. And this is a good one because my expectations are these. Knicks, y'all got to prove that you all are contenders. Game 5 at most versus these Pistons. That's what I want to see this series go. If y'all are really serious contenders, I understand this Pistons team is scrappy. They got good talent. Right now, point in time, y'all should be able to make light work of them. Just being honest. So those are my expectations for the Knicks. Pistons, hey, show promise for future, bro. Because as long as y'all keep these games competitive, y'all can get swept. And people will remember, oh, well, at least they kept those games close. They have the talent. They just needed the experience. Now they'll get first. You need those sort of conversations if you're the Detroit Pistons. So those are my expectations. I'm expecting them to lose, but at least gain that sort of traction for the upcoming years. Because you got to think about building up your team. Jaden Ivey's coming back next year. Will other free agents want to go to Detroit? We'll find out. But those are my expectations for the Knicks and the Pistons. And then finally, the Bucks and the Pacers. Notice how I said the Bucks first, too. Keep in mind with you. Kind of strategic, but, we're here now. Bucks, y'all still have to win kind of without Dame. And that's going to be interesting. I expect you all to be able to be more physical than the Pacers. Problem is, though, the Pacers have a good, deep team. They have solid talent. So will Giannis be able to carry the squad? Will Dame be able to come back in time? Will the supporting cast be able to help out? Because if the answers are no, bye-bye Giannis. So I'm expecting the Bucks to win. Maybe I should say hope. Because if not, it's going to be tough. And then for the Pacers, well, I would love to see what y'all do against a healthy Bucks team. I'm not going to lie to you. The narrative is they are still facing injured teams. Whether we want to admit it or not, that's going to be a thing for folks. So I want to see how this Pacers team does against non-injured teams. But against this Bucks team, it cannot go further. I really want to say 5, but I'm going to be fair and say 6. Y'all got to win it in 6. If y'all can't win this in 6, I don't know if I can believe in the Pacers going forward as a team that can eventually become a contender. Sorry. But that's just me. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, y'all heard my takes about the East. What y'all think about it? I'm definitely curious. Let me know. But with that, all right, we get to talk about the side that my boys is on. You know what I'm saying? I just want to make sure I got on my soapbox, do a nice little transition, right? Because we get to talk about here the West. Starting off with the Thunder versus the Grizzlies, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Long story short, can OKC dominate the Grizzlies? Because if so, then they are proving that they are that contending team. Ladies and gentlemen, the Grizzlies are not that good right now. They have good talent. There's a lot of confusion right there, for me at least, outside looking in. OKC, you got to get this done in 4, maybe even 5. If you can't, and I understand the Memphis Grizzlies, again, have good talent. They're vulnerable right now. So that's my expectation for OKC. The Memphis Grizzlies, make the series go the distance because you do have the talent. You have a Ja Morant. You have a Desmond Bane. You have a Jaren Jackson Jr. You have those players. Y'all have to be able to go the distance or at least push it to 6. If y'all get swept by any means necessary or get dog walked a lot of the time, and again, I'm on record for saying you have to potentially consider trading Ja Morant. And when I say potentially consider, I'm sorry, you have to consider trading Ja Morant, potentially trade Ja Morant. That's a real thing. And that narrative will get pushed hard this offseason, especially with Luka getting traded. So again, my expectations are for the Grizzlies to, in fact, make this a series. Let's see which expectation happens. Because again, you can't make the series go the distance, but then someone also dominate. Someone got to give. Just saying. But let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Rockets versus Warriors. Ladies and gentlemen, point blank period, Rockets, I expect them, I hate to say to lose, but at least to maximize their rebounding advantage, because they're going to be able to out-rebound the Warriors, in theory, on paper. They have the height advantage. But again, for me, ladies and gentlemen, it does boil down to execution, experience. They do have some experience. The execution for their young players, I'm curious about. And the experience for the young players, they don't have yet. So as a result, I think the Rockets are a little bit vulnerable, but they still got to make this a series. So I do expect this to be a series. Just leans the Warriors' way. And again, when I'm talking about expectation for the Warriors, you got to outclass and out-hustle this youthful Rocket team. That's why I said the experience comes in, because they have the talent. The Rockets have the talent to beat the Warriors. The Warriors have the experience, the star status, the coaching, the cohesion to outclass this Rockets team. So you may see in spurts Rockets looking like they're the better team. Warriors, I expect them to win this. But we'll see what happens, though, because the Rockets are coached pretty well. I will say that now. But let's move on up to my boys. That's these Lakers going up against the Wolves. Now, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. For my Lakers, I do expect us to have some troubles with the Wolves, right? Containing Anthony Edwards. I do expect us to do that because you know what? We decided to trade for Luka, and we said, forget the rim protection. So I'm expecting us to to defend our tails off. I've heard people say, you know what? We're a better defensive team now than when we had Anthony Davis. I don't believe so, but cool. Let's go ahead and see how this shakes. So again, I'm expecting, based on everything I've been hearing, and these Luka trade too, we can contain Anthony Edwards. And we can be more dominant, we meaning Luka, than Anthony Edwards can. That might be an uphill battle, though. I'm not going to lie to y'all. Because for the Wolves, I do expect Anthony Edwards to dominate. He doesn't have to have ungodly numbers offensively. He just has to keep attacking and causing a defensive pressure and causing a pressure on our defense. Because now when we start to try to double team Anthony Edwards, kick the ball out. And they have the rebounding advantage too. So even if the Wolves start missing, they have a decent chance of getting the rebound. And Anthony Edwards getting to the swing and think, oh, by the way, we're getting into foul trouble too. And you got to play Austin Reeves and Luka. So now their legs are tired on offense because they're being active on defense now. They're forced to being active, more active on defense. Yeah, that's tough. So again, I'm expecting a battle between the Wolves and Lakers, and I'm not really comfortable that we win. I expect us to off talent. I got some question marks and concerns about us winning versus this young Wolves team. But ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's all I got for us right now. Let's move on up to the final one: Nuggets versus Clippers. Okay, Nuggets. Not gonna lie to you guys, I expect the Nuggets to win. I expect the bench to produce enough. And I know there's question marks around that. I do expect the bench of the Nuggets to produce enough. Russell Westbrook should be sufficient. You do start to wonder, damn, who else is on the bench? But I think they have a good enough bench now with Russell Westbrook. Because, again, their team has been healthy. They have the cohesion. They have Jokic. They have a good 1-2 punch. Everybody understands their roles. And the players who have roles can actually go outside of those roles. Look at Aaron Gordon, for example. He could be a French all-star caliber player and is playing a little lesser role to make this team a championship team. So again, I expect the Nuggets to win and beating a Clippers team that I got to give credit. I didn't really expect to be in the playoffs given their history with injuries and fluke stuff. But now in the playoffs, I'm not expecting them to advance either. At some point in time, maybe an injury occurs. Hopefully not. But we done seen stuff happen consistently. We done seen James Harden falter consistently. I don't know. So, my expectations for the Clippers, not really doing too well. Possibly 6 games. So, again, they are a scary team if healthy and playing to their potential. They just got to prove it. But, again, ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude the playoffs. So, again, I'm curious. Did I mess up on any playoff expectations? Y'all heard my expectations for each team, each series. We'll see what happens. But I want to hear y'all thoughts about my expectations. Let me know what y'all think. But ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude the episode. So definitely please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone about the show. My name is Trey. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. Hope you all are having a good one. Take care.